Hello everyone, this is Jose Maldonado with ProcessMaker, and in this short session I want to show an example of an integration between an external system, in this case an SAP instance, with ProcessMaker. So I've just opened here the designer, our process modeler of a very basic uh, workflow, and it's very simple because we just want to use it as a basis to show this example. And you'll notice, it's basically a requester will start the workflow by creating a purchase order request. And then it's just going to flow into what we call an approver review loop. A very basic workflow functionality where basically it'll just go to the manager for review, and then the manager will have the option of approving it or sending it back for additional context, etc. The point is, once the approval loop has been finished, we want to take the request information and send it to SAP because it's in SAP where this purchase order should actually get stored and saved. Now, given Process Maker's flexibility, there are a handful of different ways to accommodate this scenario using various of our building blocks for it. But in this example, we're using a script task that's basically just taking the information from the request and sending it out. So why don't we just run through an example and then hopefully it'll all make sense. You'll notice we've also added a web entry, which means that the requester can also start off the process by accessing the embedded request form that has already been published externally. It's part of the web entry config. So over here, we have a mock website or intranet site that plays the part of just a portal from where users can fire off their requests. So if you notice this section, we have quick access workflows with a handful of different options that are basically firing some processes underneath, just configured in Process Maker. And over here we have the request purchase order. So let's just click on that and it'll open up. Let me just tuck away these instructions. And this is just the form or the screen as it was designed in Process Maker that's embedded within this design so users can fill it out directly. So let's just add some data here so the date for today, the order request. Let's just add any required date for a week from now. And then this is just, I'm a user, I'm filling this out however the form was designed. So let me just add some information here. We can fill out the request. Now, forms in Process Maker allow for a handful of different validations, emails, data lookups. Right now, this is a very just basic, straightforward form. So click on next. And now we get to pick a few purchase order lines. So let me just pick, any of these items. Let's add some quantities. You'll notice some of these are read-only, like unit price, because that's actually read from SAP, so we can't edit those fields. Um, so, we can pick any of these values. We can have some math here. Notice that we're calculating some tax, some subtotal amounts. We could keep on going and just add additional. Let's just do one more. Let me pick any option here to add any sort of quantity in there. Never mind the actual values. We could keep on going, but two are enough. So 901, 500 of the other. Click next. We get a review screen. So here we have it. Well, let's see, 900 bottles, 500 bottle caps. Okay, let's go ahead and click submit. So this is going to notify the manager. We get a confirmation page. I'm just going to go now into my email where the manager is going to be notified of the new purchase order for his request. Okay, so let's give it a few seconds. Let me just refresh here. And there it is. So a new purchase order notification email. We've just received it. And this example just has a very simple form. Email template that links to the tasks. Of course, we support different various email notifications, but this is just the most basic example. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the link that's going to take us to our to-do list for the manager. And here we are. This is the manager's to-do list or the task list. Some overdue tasks, everything that he has pending. And notice the most recent one, the first one on top, number 512, that's the one that we just fired off. See, so the day, and additionally, if we click on notifications, we can see that we got a notification for that. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on the notification to open the actual form. So this is a very similar form, but it's a read-only version of the same information where the manager can basically just go over all the information that was punched in by the requester. Notice here we have our 900 and 500 units that we requested. And as mentioned, of course, this can go into just a review loop and decide whether he wants to send it back or add some comments. But right now, let's just keep it forward. I'm going to go ahead and click on an agree, and the manager will be able to send that forward. Okay, so now that these tasks are done, we get the confirmation the task is completed. What happens now is that that script that we have that's taking all this request information and sending it to SAP, that's executed right now in the background. So let me just click here on the requests tab. And what's going to happen is that once that is done, we're going to get a notification basically updating that the information sent. Okay, and here it is. We got a notification, request completed. We'll go ahead and click on that. Now, in this pretty simple example, all that we're doing is just showing the purchase order number that was sent out of SAP, right? So what happened is we took the file, we took the information from the purchase order, we sent it to SAP, and SAP used that to create a purchase order inside of its own system. And then as our response, it's sending us the purchase order number. Now, of course, we could have shown here more summary information, but this is just a very basic confirmation that the transaction happened. So what we do now is that we can then use this purchase order number to look up this record directly in SAP. So actually, let me do that right now. I'm dragging in here an SAP client that I have, and I'm logging into our test account. This is an S4 HANA instance, cloud-based instance. So let me just log into this, and we're going to use this interface to find this. So I'm now just going to go into SAP's purchase order lookup. So we copy the number that we got as a response, and where is it? We just punch it right here in the purchase order. And here it is. This is SAP's summary screen for purchase orders, and we have our two items that we had just sent, the 900 bottles and 500 bottle caps with the appropriate net price that is driven through SAP. And it's a very basic example of how the information that was captured and approved very easily through ProcessMaker, we can now, do whatever we need on our ERP system. So to summarize, this is the purchase order approval map for the workflow that we just saw. Very straightforward, an approval loop that once it's done from the process maker side, it takes information from the request and uses it to send to an external system like SAP to do whatever we need to happen externally. Now, what's interesting about this example is that ERP systems like SAP, they're not ideal for just streamlining how you can capture this information, collaborate between managers and reviewers and contributors, and all the workflow that needs to happen before the actual information commit or data storage has to happen. So it's a great use case of how we can leverage our technology on top of existing systems, legacy systems, or cloud systems, like third-party applications, and enhance them with approval layers, workflow layers, and all the feature set and value proposition that we bring to the table. Feel free to reach out for added information, and thank you for watching.